You know, there are some stories that just get under your skin in the best possible way. Today, we're going to dive into one of those absolute classics, O. Henry's The Last Leaf. And trust me, this is way more than just a story about someone getting sick. It's about how our own minds can be our worst enemy or our greatest savior. And it's about how true art, well, it isn't always what you think it is.
And it all kicks off with this haunting line. Can you imagine? It's whispered from a sickbed, but it carries all the weight of a final judgment. A young artist has convinced herself that her life is literally tied to a dying vine outside her window. That's the real battlefield of the story, right there in her mind.
So let's set the scene. We're in Greenwich Village, New York. Picture a quirky little neighborhood full of aspiring artists, all crammed into cheap apartments, all chasing that big dream. It's a place that's buzzing with creative energy, sure, but it's also a place where the reality of being a struggling artist is, well, really harsh.
And this is where we meet our two main characters, Sue and John-C. They hit it off immediately, bonded over their love for art, and decided to share a studio to save some cash. Sue, she's the rock, the practical one, fiercely loyal, just trying to keep everything from falling apart. And John-C, she's the dreamer, a little more fragile, and now she's gotten herself dangerously sick.
And this is where the real problem begins. John-C is incredibly ill, yes, but the real enemy here isn't the virus or the fever attacking her body. It's the absolute, crushing despair that has taken over her mind. It's a sickness of the spirit.
The official diagnosis? Pneumonia. Now, you have to remember, this is the early 1900s. Pneumonia was a monster. There were no easy cures. For someone as frail as John-C, it was a really serious threat. But the bigger problem is that the medicine isn't doing a thing, because she has completely lost the will to fight.
The doctor pulls Sue aside and gives her the brutal truth. John-C has a 1 in 10 chance of making it. But here's the crucial part. He tells Sue that those odds have almost nothing to do with the medicine. They have everything to do with what's going on in John-C's head.
And there it is. This is the moment the whole story pivots. The doctor lays it out plain and simple. John-C has given up. She doesn't want to live, and no medicine in the world can save a patient who refuses to fight. Her own mind is becoming the enemy, and right now, the enemy is winning.
So, with her entire world shrunk down to the 4 walls of her bedroom, John-C's despair finds something to latch onto, an old, gnarled ivy vine growing on the brick wall outside her window. It becomes her clock, this morbid, living countdown of her own life.
She starts counting them, whispering the numbers. Just a few days ago, there were nearly 100 leaves. Now, only 5 are left. And in her mind, a terrible connection has been made. When that last leaf falls from the vine, her own life will be over.
Sue, of course, is frantic. She tries to use logic, to reason with her. She's practically pleading, saying, "What on earth do old leaves have to do with you getting better? Don't be silly." But that's the thing about this kind of despair, isn't it? It doesn't listen to reason. It creates its own twisted logic.
John-C is just completely lost in it. She watches another leaf flutter down. She refuses to eat. She just waits. Now there are 4, and her only wish, her last request, is to see that final leaf fall before night comes. It's this chilling, calm acceptance that she's ready to go.
Sue is at her wit's end, so she goes downstairs to get help from their neighbor. And this is where we meet old Berman, a guy who, on the surface, seems like the poster child for artistic failure.
So who is this guy, Behrman? Well, he's a painter. Or he was. He's this gruff, cynical old man who has been talking about the masterpiece he's going to paint for 40 years, but he's never even started it. His canvas is still blank. He's just a man whose big dreams have been worn down by a lifetime of going nowhere.
So when Sue tells him what's happening with John-C, Berman just scoffs at first. He gets angry, shouting about how ridiculous the whole idea is. But his anger, it's just a cover. You can tell that underneath that crusty exterior, he's a deeply protective old man who thinks of these 2 young women as his own.
And then he says that old, tired line of his. But this time, it just sounds different. It's not some far-off dream anymore. It feels like a promise. It's him saying, I'm going to create something that will change everything, something that can save you. And that very night, a nasty storm just unleashes itself on the city. We're talking fierce winds, a cold, driving rain mixed with snow. It is a wild, brutal night. And everyone knows there is just no way a single, weak little leaf could possibly survive that.
The storm finally ends, and in the quiet of the morning, John-C's voice is flat, almost lifeless. She gives an order. Open the window. She's not hoping to see the leaf. She's expecting to see an empty branch, her final confirmation that it's time to let go.
So Sue, probably holding her breath, opens the shade. And they both just stare. Because it's impossible. After all that wind, all that rain, a single ivy leaf is still there, clinging to the vine.
And look at it. It's still dark green near the stem, but its edges are yellowed from decay. It's hanging on for dear life, 20 feet up that wall. It's this one, tiny, solitary symbol of defiance. It fought the storm, and somehow it won.
And seeing that leaf, it reignites something in Jauncey. It gives her back her will to live. But the story's final, heart-wrenching twist is that the leaf wasn't real. It wasn't a miracle of nature. It was Behrman. On that horrible stormy night, he finally painted his masterpiece. Not on a canvas, but on the brick wall. A perfect painted leaf that fooled a dying girl into living. An act of creation that cost him his own life. Which really leaves us with a huge question, doesn't it? What is the true purpose of art? Is it to be famous, or is it something much simpler? Like giving just one person a reason to hope?